Hi guys, I'm in Sandefeord and I saw this amazing, absolutely amazing Viking ship. It's a prototype of the original, but there's this gentleman I was talking to and probably he's gonna give us more information. Hello sir, how are you?
Hi, thank you.
What's your name?
My name is Tura.
Tuda, okay. So I was just telling you, like, if this is a Viking ship and you give me amazing insight about this ship, can you tell us a little bit about this ship, you know?
Yeah, this is a copy of one of our oldest and most intact Viking ship found ever in the world.
And that was found in Oslo or
in
here?
Sandefjord.
Sandefjord, wow.
Yeah. So it's found here,
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
And it was found in 1880.
1880, wow.
And the first copy
Yeah.
made ever
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
was in 1893.
1893.
They wanted to put an example
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
the World Trade Conference in Chicago
In Chicago.
that happened in 1893.
Wow.
It was a Columbus, 400 years Columbus,
Yeah.
and we wanted to show
Yeah.
Vikings were here before.
Well, they're way ahead of our time. Yeah, exactly.
And they sailed the first copy over to Chicago
To Chicago.
in 1893.
So is this the same size as the one that you found?
The original, this is the same size, not the techniques. What we're doing now here at this building site here in the park and in Tønsberg,
Yeah.
we are making a replica.
A replica,
Where
okay.
we also go into the process of making it as the Vikings did.
Yeah.
So we are splitting the wood, we are doing everything by hand. And hand tools.
Same tool they used back
As the
1,000 years ago.
Vikings. Yes. And I have inside here
sure.
some copies of tools.
Yeah, I would like to show that to the viewers.
We have different type of axes,
Yep.
and from the Viking period.
And this one is a tool, as an axe tool.
Axe tool.
Yep.
And like everything we use
Yeah.
is replicas of archaeological founds
Yeah.
from the Viking period. And the original of Gokstad ship that was found here and now is in museum in Oslo.
Yeah.
The original is built in the late 800 after Christ.
Late 800.
Late 800.
Oh wow.
And it's built also in this area.
Wow.
We have been documented. The wood shows that it's come from
Dated
this
back to that
Yes.
era. Wow.
Genetic. We know that it's local. Even the original is local.
Yeah.
And that's why this project is so unique.
Yeah.
Because we are searching then to build as it was in 1880.
Wow.
And you see here now, that picture is how far along we are on the new Gokstad ship.
Oh, so that's, you have made it so far.
Yes, that's
Oh wow.
how far we are.
Yeah. Amazing. So how long you think it's gonna take to finish that one? The one that in the photo?
2 years more, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
3,
Must be
2-3 years.
because all made by hand, right?
Yes.
So it's gonna, and you have to make sure all the measurement and everything. Maybe stupid question. Have you guys failed before trying to copy it?
This is the third Viking ship we are reconstructing here in Vestfold. So the first one was Oseberg ship and then Gokstad ship.
Yeah.
And this is the third.
Oh.
So we are pretty sure of what we are doing.
Wow.
But not 100% because
Of course.
so we are actually researching the techniques the Vikings did.
Yeah.
And the knowledge that they had, we don't have anymore.
The
same as they had.
True.
Because it's been too long since they built Viking ship originally.
Yeah.
So we are researching, but we are also researching based here now for the last 15 years. We have been learning.
Yep.
And we are in close collaboration with the Roskilde Viking Ship Museum in Denmark,
Wow.
who has been reconstructing for nearly 50 years.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
blows my mind that the ship that was made that long ago and you found it still intact.
Yeah,
Completely
that's,
intact.
That's the most incredible here with Gokstad ship.
Yeah.
It was because of the way it was buried,
Yeah.
and the soil that it was buried in was
It's crisp.
clay,
Okay.
and that makes it very airtight.
Okay.
That's the
No
reason.
contamination, nothing.
Yes, that's the reason why we can have it.
We got
already.
lucky then, yeah.
We got very
we
lucky.
could look at the history with our own eye, basically.
Yeah.
What is the dimension of that ship or the one outside? Is how big?
24 meters long.
24-meter long. How many Vikings? Because they must be bigger than, of course, me. You know, how many Vikings would that fit in that one ship comfortably?
The Vikings had different sizes, so
Okay.
not all was big.
Not
but-
like a movie, like you know how
No,
movie
not
they say
like the
big and
movie, no.
dangerous.
They were really different. So
Okay.
it was like today, different sizes, but they were really strong because of the time period. In
Everything
the
was physical.
medieval or earlier, like Viking age,
Yeah.
it was really a tough time to live.
True.
So they had to be
Strong.
So it's and rowing and sailing, that was like one of the most common thing to know
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And Gokstad ship has 32 rowers.
32.
that it can
32.
have.
Wow.
Yeah, but how many they were actually on board, we don't know. But approximately 60 persons, 50, 60 persons, perhaps,
Yeah.
that would be on the ship when
Yep.
it traveled, because this is a warship going.
This is a
out.
warship.
This
Oh,
is a
wow.
warship, and going out to the sea.
Oh.
It's a seafaring construction. The whole construction tells
Wow.
tells that.
And did the Viking actually had those? What do you call that? The wind. You know.
sail.
Sail. They actually
Yeah.
had a sail as well.
Yeah. So
Makes
rowing and sailing was those two techniques.
Probably they're the one who almost invented, I would say, like back in the days. I mean.
I don't know if they invented. We have evidence of much earlier and different.
Oh, okay.
From the Egyptians, for example.
Egyptian. You're
Yeah.
right. Sorry, you're right.
So,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
but it's they were in front. They mastered something pretty unique.
Yeah.
And made and showed how you can use the seafaring
Yeah.
abilities and techniques of getting to know different countries,
Yeah.
different continents.
Yeah.
You know, they were traveling a lot, not just pillaging,
Oh.
because they were tradespeople
That's true. They're farmers as well,
and
right?
farmers.
Yeah.
And you see in Constantinople,
Yeah.
or today Istanbul, but Constantinople,
Yeah.
the preferred
The trade and everything.
no, the preferred hired warriors
Oh.
were the Vikings.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
they're paid warriors basically.
They hired warriors from the Viking tribes.
Yeah.
That was like the best you could get.
True. The best of the best warriors. Yeah.
The best warriors, and that's been known like for a long period, and they were pretty. They were traveling a lot. Like the second ship that we have reconstructed has was in Istanbul last year.
Oh.
Traveled just to show that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
possible.
Honestly, I want to come back again in maybe 27 or later. I want to go to see that museum because I'm obsessed with
Yes.
this history, especially Vikings, And thank you for your information because a lot of TV show movies of Vikings, all they do is go new place, they kill people, and they were farmers, they were
Farmers and
intelligent people who
tradespeople.
trades everything.
A lot.
What were the main diet, if you don't mind? A lot of meat and vegetables, everything like
nature products.
whatever nature provide, they ate it.
Yeah, they ate it, and it was a big development on fermentation and different aspects they used because they had to learn it, and they were really, they expanded like in their way of thinking food with their travels.
Yeah, yeah.
They got inputs, they got new dimensions, they got like the English and
The Saxons and all.
the
yeah.
Saxons. Everything was part of the Viking period.
Yeah.
And also like Normandy in France
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is given to the Vikings for the king wanted to protect themselves from the Vikings, so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
gave that land area
Yeah.
to like a buffer
Yeah.
before they could come into to Paris.
Wow.
And so it's a lot of interesting dimensions in the Viking period.
Wow.
That is very very unique.
Perfect. Amazing. Wow. So I don't want to bother you because you must be busy,
I will,
man, today.
continue, yes.
I will quickly take a quick video around here,
Do
and
that.
I'll thank you. Thank.
Just so you know, this building,
Yeah.
it's also a reconstruction
Oh.
of one of our oldest building techniques in Norway.
Okay.
That, it's a stave construction.
So it's a kind of factory in a way, is it? Manufacturing.
This is the original. This comes from the original is a more farmer house or workhouse,
Oh.
most likely from 1100.
Yeah.
But the construction, how it's constructed,
Yeah.
it's all the same we can see in all the Gildehall.
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
The old houses from the Viking period had this basic construction, and also all the stave churches.
Yeah.
that
Oh,
we have in
churches as well.
Norway,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
is based on this construction.
Such a smart people. Like,
And the most interesting with the Gokstad ship.
yeah.
You see, this is the picture from the excavation,
Yeah.
and when it was built, it was used for burial. That construction there,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
this
They buried
It's-
the whole ship.
they buried the whole ship,
Yeah.
and they built a little house in the ship,
Little. Sorry, what?
a little house
Oh, wow.
for where they put the person who died.
Wow.
They put him in that house
Yeah. Yeah.
as like a chamber.
Like a chamber. Oh.
And the way they constructed that little house
Yeah.
is exactly how this one is constructed.
I got it now. So that's how you got the idea.
That's why I wanted this as a building for the workshop.
Yeah.
It's because we see it in the
Yeah.
and this is put engraved. It's put 901.
901. Wow.
It was used for a grave ship.
Yeah. Yeah. You're doing a big favor to the world, sir. Please
you.
keep doing this, and then so the whole world can see in for next 1,000 years. You know. Thank you very much. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Is that okay if I take a little video?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. Amazing. So what are you doing here?
The blacksmith who makes the rivets for the ship copy that we built over in Tønsberg.
Oh, okay. The other gentleman was telling me that that is the exact replica of what the Viking ship looked like, you know?
Yeah, that's an exact, or a pretty good as good as we can get, as exact as a copy of the Gokstad ship.
Yeah.
The Gokstad ship is the most sort of commonly replicated one, since it's the sort of typical Viking ship you
Oh,
usually
okay.
think of, the one with the
Yeah.
shields on the sides and everything. But of course, as you can see on that one, they had to put some modern amenities of it, otherwise the Coast Guard will just immediately get on your ass.
Oh, because the
Like,
new rules.
you don't have a radio signal on your medieval ship, that is not appropriate.
Oh my god.
Oh, you can't drive this up a river without a motor. Yeah, but it was designed for this in the year 1000, probably even earlier at the 800s.
That's true.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the modern one, so no, that's not allowed.
Man, they're like pain in the ass like around the world.
Yeah,
the
tons
government.
of bureaucracy.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
Funnily enough, though, they sailed on one of the copies that the foundation that builds these ships have made, the one that's a copy of Craftsmanship.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a sort of trade ship.
Yeah.
That one they had to do stuff like that to it. But funny enough, when they went down to Turkey with it, surprisingly, out of most of the coasts,
Yeah.
they expected to be a massive pain in the ass about, is this actually following regulations?
Oh my god.
Surprisingly enough, the Germans were pretty okay.
Oh yeah?
It was surprisingly the Serbians who were really like, is this following regulation? No? Yes? Okay, you can go. Peace out.
Yeah.
They were surprisingly picky about the whole thing.
God, there's always someone.
Yeah, you would have expected it to be the Germans of all people to come over and be like, yeah, is this nein, diese Baum, nein, scheiße.
Yeah, yeah.
You would expect them to come up with me like that. They just apparently walked out. I was like, ooh, cool boat, and then they just went back. It's nothing.
See, that's I would expect. You
Yeah.
know, the whole world should be treating like those new boats, you know, like I
Yeah.
would be expected to do that as well.
Yeah.
Like rather than complaining, oh, do you have this, do you have that?
Yeah.
So you're using the ancient tools like they used, the Vikings? Or?
Yeah, these typically over in Tunsberg, when I work there, we do have medieval bellows that we use.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't use the anvils since most of the strength when it comes to beating on the steel.
Yeah, yeah.
The modern anvil, since there's more steel underneath, throws the hammer up more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which means you don't tire as quickly when you're working. So
Oh,
it's slightly
okay.
more efficient that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Meanwhile, if we were to be completely historically accurate, the anvil of the Viking Age, usually they were about the size of the surface of this hammer here.
Oh, okay.
And it would just be that beaten into wooden stump, and that's it. That's your
it.
anvil.
Yeah, yeah.
You need a plate to punch holes in. Well, you need a hole like the holes on the modern anvils.
Yeah,
You would make a tiny flat piece of steel. You would punch out holes
yeah.
with a punch, which is pretty much like a cookie cutter for steel. You just have it the shape you want to cut out,
Yeah,
and then you just punch it through.
yeah.
You would punch a bunch of holes in a long flat piece of steel, bend the ends so they had like a little needle that you would beat into the wood,
Yeah.
and then you just use that plate in order to punch the holes. And shape
Oh,
stuff like that to
okay.
beat
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hole.
yeah. Wow. Honestly, thank you for everything, man.
Yeah, welcome.
I don't want to bother you because you guys must be busy.
Yeah, we heard on lunch break.
Beautiful. Oh, okay. All right. Really, really appreciate, man.
Yeah.
And you guys doing favor to the wall, you know, like keeping the history alive, and then people like me from another country come
Yeah.
here and get to see the first hand, like how Viking used to live here and everything, you know.
Yeah, that's
Like-
sort of funnily enough the way that the blacksmithing sort of mostly keeps itself alive too. Is mostly on behalf of just laziness of industry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Since whenever you make stuff out of steel, there's two ways to do it.
Yeah.
Right or quick.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And industry always picks quick and does a ton of stuff wrong. So then you end up that a lot of modern high quality hand tools today
Yeah.
that people still buy now,
Yeah.
most of those are hand forged since you just don't get that quality when you just use a machine and you just take one piece of steel,
Yeah, yeah.
punch out a hole for the eye, and then just harden the whole thing.
True.
That's why the modern axes get dull so quick, is because the whole thing is one piece of steel.
Yeah.
And when the whole thing is one steel and the whole thing is hardened,
Yeah.
you have to do like blacksmith hammers.
That's
and you have to
true.
make them really soft so that when you hit them, they don't explode.
Oh.
Meanwhile, if you had hardened the whole thing and kept it as hard as you do the edge on, say, a laminated axe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where you only have a tiny bit of steel right at the edge,
Yeah.
and the rest of the body is soft iron,
Yeah.
in that one you can make the edge a lot harder so that it keeps sharp for longer. That's usually the difference when a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people try hand forged axes and stuff. It's that it keeps the edge longer, mostly because it's actually, well, harder so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it stays that sharpness for longer. But with the modern axes, because it's also made out of steel, sometimes it just builds up stress in the weirdest places.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like if you beat on the back of it a bit, it'll suddenly snap at the front of the eye.
Oh.
Because steel, when you beat on it cold, it just keeps remembering every single time you hit it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Until finally one day you have enough strength built up in the steel that it just
Explodes.
breaks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's practically like it explodes, since it's all the force that it would take to just flick out a piece of the steel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All of that just gets released.
Wow. That blew my mind when you told me the soft steel. That makes a lot of sense because eventually it will explode otherwise, you know, like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Crazy. So this is the you know, the replica of the same, the house they used to work
Well,
here?
this is just a general sort of house.
Okay.
Typically the blacksmiths in the Viking Age, so very commonly they would leave and live up in the mountains
Yeah.
because they already had to live way out of town to make sure they didn't accidentally set fire to the town.
Yeah.
Since back in the days of turf roofing, you had the problem that if your chimney got a bit too hot,
Yeah.
your roof's on fire.
That's true. That's
Your
true.
grass on your roof grows a bit too tall and you haven't cut it in the fall. Your roof's on fire.
Fire.
The chimney just decides to
Yeah.
crack in some place and a
Yeah.
tiny little ember gets through to the grass. House on fire.
Fire.
And when the whole house is wood that's been lathered with tar,
Yeah.
tar is really good for keeping fungus away and keeps moisture out of the wood and almost acts as like a tar,
Yeah,
or not
yeah.
tar, acts as a sap for the already dead wood.
Oh, okay.
That sort of keeps it moisturized and sort of alive.
Yeah.
But the problem with tar is that once it catches fire, it burns really well. And when all of the houses are built out of this material, once one starts to catch fire and it starts radiating the heat from all of that burning, it'll easily catch the next one on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
So because of that, they had those rules about, okay, you're a smith, yeah, you live over there. And because of that, sometimes they would just decorate caves in the mountain.
Oh.
So they would just find a decently sized crack in the mountain to work in, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
just work there,
This-
and have their forge there, and just have like a little shed nearby, or just live in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow.
even in modern times where we have farms,
Yeah.
was normally you have a blacksmith
Yeah.
or a farmer that could make blacksmithing. They always have a different shop, so they never.
Yeah,
had
that's what they call a coal house.
Oh.
Farms used to have a coal house in the slightly later periods where you would have a specific house for smithing
Yeah, yeah.
that you of course kept a bit away from everything because of
Wow.
again, fire.
They were very smart people.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Viking mainly lived in what, Norway, Sweden, and Finland.
Yeah,
or-
generally Norway, Sweden, Denmark, moved up to around Sweden, I think, and then moved over. The Swedish Vikings, a group of them called the Rus, they went over and founded places like Russia and Ukraine. Some places like that have a lot of.
They were all
ancestry
kind of
from that.
related. They're similar people, or they're completely different people.
Well, they were a group in Sweden that were, as far as I remember, they were Swedish Vikings that went out and sort of settled more over in those regions because
Yeah.
there wasn't enough land over in Sweden, or there was some sort of argument. I think they probably had some civil war.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with it depends on which area, since the different Scandinavians sort of spread it out differently.
Yeah.
The Danes, they sort of went more south and around. As far as I know, they went more like south towards those parts. Went more to places like what's it called, to England and around there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Swedish, they went more east and went more into Eastern Europe and those places.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
Estonia and those places.
To do the trades and everything, you know, like yeah.
Meanwhile, the Norwegians, they were sort of just at that point kind of like the Danes, where they, I think at that point they were still part of Denmark.
I can't really.
I can't remember if since back in the weird thing is back in the Viking Age, Norway, Sweden, Denmark was separate in a way,
Oh.
and then Norway sort of just got absorbed into one of them in the later modern periods.
Yeah.
And then later re-emerged again after several wars with Sweden and Denmark, and then eventually finally deciding that, yeah, you know what, it's not worth it having that place that's
Yeah,
just a giant coastline where there's nothing that grows.
Yeah.
And there's only mountain, and it's hard as hell to move anything around there since you have to go by boat everywhere.
Yeah.
And then later in the 60s, Norway found oil, and then the Swedes never stopped being mad about that.
Oh, like sorry, you know, like.
Meanwhile,
yeah.
when Norway got its independence, it was sort of like a, yeah, fine, be your own country. We don't even want to deal with that shithole anyway.
Of course.
There's nothing even good there. There's just fish.
Yeah.
Since in those days, the only two exports Norway almost had was fish and sailors who didn't complain about eating nothing but fish.
Oh wow.
Since for
Yeah.
most of its history, they primarily sold dried fish,
Yeah.
so that sailors would have a sort of protein ration they could have on board ships.
Fish farming was massive back in those
Yeah,
days. Yeah.
typically like the fishing. That's why along the coasts in the fjord near Oslo,
Yeah.
you're not actually allowed to fish cod here.
Oh.
Since we overfished it so hard back in the day.
For a long
since
time. Yeah.
There was nothing else that you really did.
Wow.
You either barreled sill, which is these tiny fish,
Yeah.
or you would sell dried cod for sailors, or you would just work on boats.
Oh.
A lot of modern Norwegian food sort of derives from the stuff people would eat on ships.
Yeah.
Since, for
Wow.
example, knekkebrød, it's this like crisp, hard bread that's kind of airy, and it's kind of popular generally in Norway and Sweden.
Yeah.
And some in Denmark, I think. And this bread is pretty much just a more evolved version of something that you would typically have on ships called hardtack.
Yeah.
Hardtack is a biscuit that's just made out of flour, water, and salt.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It's hard as a brick. Half the documents
You need a
about
Viking axe to cut it.
half the document.
You put an axe or a hammer.
Yeah, they actually would break it up with hammers, so they could put it in the soup and boil it up so that it would become at least like a porridge.
Oh my god.
Since there were people who would, a lot of the histories about hardtack are mostly just about sailors complaining about how inedible they were.
Yeah.
Since if you had it, it never spoiled because nothing eats bricks. It looks like a brick, tastes like a brick.
Yeah.
Unless you boil it in the soup, then you have a brick dissolved in your soup.
Yeah.
But hey, you could eat it.
Yeah. Can survive. Wow.
Meanwhile, with the Norwegians, when they came on board, over time, that sort of made its way back over here.
Yeah.
And I thought, what if we made this nice and airy? And over time, the Scandinavians sort of refined it to make it edible without having to beat it with hammers.
Yeah.
And another one that's lapskaus,
Yeah.
which is originally the sort of stew from, I think, around Germany.
Yeah.
Where they sort of you just threw whatever you had on board in a pot.
Yeah.
Lapskaus. In Norway, we still eat lapskaus today as a sort of common thing.
Oh, okay.
And since that sort of made its way back around and then just stayed, it was like, we eat this all the time on the ships.
Yeah.
I think the normal thing. Normally, I use potatoes.
Yeah, normally now it's sort of like a generic soup,
Potato, yeah.
But on the ships it was pretty much, okay, what do we have in the barrels? We got fish, we got some potatoes, salted pork, whatever this brisket is, throw that in.
Yeah.
And then they would gradually boil that into like, does this slurry look edible yet? I'm hungry enough to try it.
Apparently those were the perennial soup. I think they continuously going, isn't it? The traveler would throw whatever they have, like you said, and then just eat it.
Yeah.
If it's cooked, no one's gonna die, maybe, no bacteria.
Yeah.
So I can't bite on the door.
Yeah. Anyways, man, you're a legend. Thank you very much. Thank you. What's your name?
Florian.
Yep, and
Christopher.
nice to meet you. My name is Sudeep.
Yeah.
So I'm originally from Nepal, but I live in Australia now.
Ah, nice.
And I'm just here with my wife, so I was just, why not to go around and talk to the locals?
Yeah.
But honestly, you get me more information that I ever need that I can process.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go home, watch the video again, and I'm probably gonna put it on the YouTube as well. Yeah. Thank you guys. Enjoy. Enjoy. And you guys doing favor to the world. Please keep this culture alive, and then
Yeah.
I don't know, hopefully your ship gonna last another 1,000 years like the Viking ship did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, or in case if it doesn't float anymore, at least you could turn it upside down and just make a house.
or end up in the museum in the future, like either way, like as a foreigner, I'm so happy whatever you're doing, man. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy. Thank you. Wow, what a gentleman. Honestly, they give me more information that I can process, because I don't know anything about blacksmith or wood carving, but I made this video just for you guys. So one last time I want to show you the Viking ship, the copy Viking ship that they made. They actually found the fully intact Viking ship in Sandefeord, and then they basically copied that and made this one. So they're working on the third ship now. So the gentleman told me they now know exactly what they're doing, because that's already their third ship in the making. Check this out. It boggles my mind how they made this thousands of years ago. They say normally the Viking ship has 32 rows, which is like a, let's say, paddle thingy, I guess. There's one gentleman resting over there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.